The house stood at the end of a forgotten road, paint peeling, windows clouded with dust, the kind of place people passed every day without ever really seeing. For decades, no one lived there, not because it was haunted, not because it was dangerous, but because no one wanted to remember what happened inside. When a young couple finally bought the property, they believed they were getting a quiet, cheap fixer-upper, a place with history, a place with character. They had no idea they were buying a secret. They had no idea the house was hiding a room that was never meant to be found. The renovations began slowly. Walls came down. Floors were replaced. Old wiring was ripped out. Every day uncovered small reminders of the past. Old newspapers, rusted tools, children's toys left behind. Then one afternoon, a contractor noticed something strange. Behind a freshly removed wall panel, there was another wall, thicker, heavier. It didn't match the rest of the house. When they cleared away the drywall, they found a door, not a normal basement door. It was reinforced with metal plates, heavy bolts, layers of old locks, some rusted shut. The wood was scarred. Deep grooves ran across it, not from tools, from hands, from something that had clawed at the surface. Someone had tried to get out. The couple searched the house records. There was no basement listed, no crawl space, no hidden room. Official blueprints showed nothing behind that wall. It was as if the room had been erased, not forgotten, removed. When the workers finally forced the door open, they expected mold or old storage. What they got was something else. A wave of cold air spilled out, not normal cold, the kind that sinks into your bones. The smell was metallic, stale, like old hospitals, like something that had been sealed for a very long time. The room was concrete, no windows, no natural light, just a single hanging bulb that no longer worked. The walls were covered in scratches, not random, repeated, desperate. Rusted metal restraints were bolted into the floor. Chains, old leather straps. Medical trays sat in corners, coated in dust. Syringes, for stands. Equipment no normal homeowner would ever own. The couple stepped back. They didn't say it out loud, but they both felt it. This wasn't a basement. It was a holding room. The house was built in the 1940s. Over the years, several families lived there, but one name appeared more than any other, the Caldwell family. They moved in during the late 1990s. Neighbors described them as quiet, too quiet. The father rarely spoke to anyone. He worked strange hours, late nights, early mornings, deliveries at odd times. The mother was distant, always watching, always nervous. They had one child, or at least that's what people believed. Some neighbors said they saw a small figure in the windows. Others said they heard crying at night. But no one ever saw the child outside, not playing, not riding a bike, not walking to school, at least not for long. School records showed a child enrolled briefly. Teachers remembered strange things. The child didn't speak much, made unusual sounds, sometimes reacted violently to loud noises. One teacher said the child once bent a metal chair leg without realizing it. Another said the child stared at people for too long, as if studying them. After only a few months, the child was withdrawn. No explanation, no medical paperwork, no transfer records. Just gone. Shortly after, the entire Caldwell family vanished. They didn't sell the house. They didn't pack properly. They left clothes behind, furniture, personal items, as if they left in a hurry. No missing person report was ever filed. No police investigation. It was as if the town collectively agreed not to ask questions. Back in the basement, investigators found boxes. Inside were cassette tapes, dozens of them, each labeled in neat handwriting. When the tapes were played, a man's voice filled the room. Calm, controlled, cold. He never said a name. He never said who he was talking to. He only referred to something as, It is adapting. It is stronger. It is learning patterns. It resists sedation. On some tapes, there was breathing. Deep, heavy, not human. On others, there were sounds no one could identify. Low, wet, almost like something struggling to form words. Notebooks were stacked on a metal shelf, pages filled with drawings. Human-like, but wrong. Limbs slightly longer than normal. Joint placements that didn't match human anatomy. Notes about bone density. Rapid healing. Abnormal strength. Extreme pain tolerance. There were blood samples. Preserved. Labeled. When tested, the DNA results came back inconclusive. Not human. Not animal. Not anything in the system. The lab technicians thought it was contamination. They ran it again. Same result. Unknown. One tape stood out. The man's voice was different. Less controlled. Strained. It's changing faster now. It's not responding. It's learning from us. Then the breathing grew louder. Heavy movement. Metal rattling. A loud impact. Then a scream. Not from the creature. From the man. The tape cut off. There were no recordings after that date. The basement door had been sealed shortly after. Bolted. Reinforced. Covered. Hidden behind a wall. Not to hide storage. Not to hide evidence. But to hide something dangerous. Years later, after the basement was discovered, investigators made one final find. A ventilation shaft. Hidden behind a panel. It led out into the woods behind the house. The soil outside was disturbed. Old. But clear. Something had used it. Something big enough to crawl through. Local reports from years after the Caldwell family disappeared told a strange story. Livestock found mutilated. No predator tracks. Strange marks on trees. Deep, high off the ground. People reported sounds at night. Not coyotes. Not dogs. Something slower. Heavier. Almost like something trying to imitate animals. The Caldwell family was never found. Their car was discovered miles away. Abandoned. Inside were scratches, mud, and biological traces that matched nothing. The basement door was sealed for 20 years. But one question remains. Was the door sealed to trap something inside? Or to protect everyone else from what had already escaped? To this day, no one knows what was kept in that room. And no one knows where it went. All that remains is a sealed basement, a missing family, and the possibility that whatever lived there is still out there, watching, learning, waiting,